a model, I must do it. Because that's the purpose of our existence. We have a tremendous support for Rashi's interpretation. When I give this, sometimes I point out that there are, so this is a counterintuitive interpretation of Shema. You could say, Shema Yisrael doesn't say anything about God. It says something about people's recognition of God. We want the world to recognize that there's only one God. That's Hashem, who is only our God. It's not saying that God is metaphysically one. It means that God one day will be the exclusive God recognized by all humanity. So that means every morning and every evening, and God, after 120 years on our deathbed, when we say Shema, it has to be with that, according to Rashi, with that concept. Yes, a Levi, that, Kowalski next door, that should realize that it should become a monotheist, should become a righteous Gentile. That has to be my concern, according to Rashi. There's no other way of interpreting Rashi. So while I'm at it, I also say V'ahavta is not about love, because, and that's Ron Brana's point. Ahavta means unswerving commitment. It doesn't mean feel the warm fuzzies for the Kodesh Baruch Hu. I don't love God. I mean, whether I love God or not is another question that maybe or maybe I won't discuss publicly. However, love in the romantic sense, in the emotional sense, is not the command. And that can be proven not only the way Bronner proves it very nicely from Semitic texts, but from Jewish texts as well. Wherever it says V'ahavta, it's always behavior. It talks about visiting the sick. It doesn't mean you have to have warm feelings for some person you're visiting. If someone needs you, you visit them, you comfort the mourners, you visit the sick, you clothe the naked. That's what does Hillel say? Whatever you want done to you, or whatever you don't want done to you, don't do to others. Behavioral, don't do it. Right? And so likewise, V'ahavta means unswerving loyalty, behavioral. And then Ha'dvarim ha'ela is not the words of the Shema, it's the Ten Commandments, if you look at it in context. V'shinanto levanecha is not about education. That's v'limadatem otam b'nechem. V'shinanto levanecha means you repeat it again and again and again in the presence of your children, because that shows you're modeling the love of God. When you focus lovingly on the values, and the children see that you relate to the whole world through the value system of Torah, that's how you connect with the world, through God's will. That is generating the love of God and the commitment to God. And then, and only then, once you model your own constant involvement in learning in the presence of your children, then, only then, the second paragraph of Shema will teach that. So that's what I want to say, that this is parenthetical. The first point isn't, that the Shema isn't about God, it's about all of humanity, recognizing that there's only one God. V'ahavta isn't about love, it's about behavior. Ha'dvarim ha'ela is about the Ten Commandments. And these words which I command you today are the Ten Commandments, and they were deleted from our liturgy for reasons I can't go into now. And finally, V'shinanto levanecha is not about education. It's about modeling passionate involvement in your own learning. It's not about teaching your children. Teaching your children is a mitzvah, the second paragraph of Shema. Now, the Rashi's interpretation is reinforced by the Rosh Hashanah liturgy. Those of you who have the handouts now, if you're holding now the staple on the upper right-hand side, if you turn it. Once, page 2, 3. Here. Page 3. The longest Amidah of the year is, the Salish Menashe of the year is the Musaf of Rosh Hashanah. 3 long paragraphs right smack dab in the middle of the normal Shemona Esrei. Each one of those paragraphs reflects a theme that will help us in realigning ourselves with the God of history and purpose. I'm not going to explicate those themes fully now, but the first of those those themes is, first three themes is malchuyot. Means that, literally means kingships. All aspects of the idea of God being the ultimate source of value in the universe. And therefore, we have to, as human beings, not just as Jews, submit to the purpose of the creation. So you can say, well, Kadosh Baruch Hu is king and you have to submit to his will. That's one way of looking at it. But if I say that, people are turned on. Yeah, who is, you know, who died and made him king? Right? Sort of like, you know, what is he, a big shot? You know, so therefore I have to articulate it in a way that sounds acceptable and sophisticated. He's the source of value and the source of being. And so he determines and reveals the purpose of being. And for us to actualize our being, we have to surrender to those purposes. So the requirements of the liturgy is that each one of these paragraphs, Malchuyot, Zifronot, remembrances, and Shofarot, are images of shofar blowing, which is throughout history, Sinai, ultimate redemption. It requires a recitation of 10 verses. And there's a certain amount of latitude given to when the liturgy was still relatively unstructured. So there was the Talmud gives suggestions, not suggestions, but an overall layout of how it has to unfold. And they said we have to choose from Malchuyot 10 verses that have to do with God being king. 3 from the Torah, 3 from the Psalms of David, 3 from the prophets, and then 1 summary verse from the Torah. So what's really interesting is there's 1 verse in the Torah, from the Torah, the last one, which is a summary verse. It's the only one that doesn't mention the word king, Melech. And that verse is Shema Yisrael Adonai Elohim Adonai Echad. What's the one before that? Let's look. On page 3 of this handout, the next to last paragraph. Then the next to last verse in that paragraph, in the middle, the four lines at the end of the paragraph. And it is said, Hashem will be king over all the world. And that day Hashem will be one and the name will be one. Yeh Hashem echad u'shmo echad. That's the, and then what's the verse from the Torah? And the Torah is written as follows: Shema Yisrael, Adonai Elohim, Adonai Echad. So there's this correlation, the same correlation that Rashi is going to make maybe close to 1,000 years later after this was written. Not exactly sure when these specific verses were chosen. But it's clear that Yeh Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad is the same theme as Shema Yisrael Adonai Elohim Adonai Echad. That we're concerned that the whole world become monotheistic. It's concerned for the world. Well, it makes sense because Rosh Hashanah is not the birthday of Israel. It's not Yom HaAtzmaut. It's not Pesach. It's the birthday. It's not the birthday of the world, even though we say Hayom Harat Olam. It's according to one opinion in the Gemara, which we follow in the liturgy. It celebrates the creation of humanity of Adam and Eve. Not of the Jewish people, not of the Israelites, but of Adam v'Chava. It's the birthday of the world. What better, more appropriate day is there to be concerned for the welfare of the world, and that the world, all of the descendants of Adam and Eve, actualize their potential as images of God, if not on the birthday of their progenitor. When humanity was first created, on this day we take account. And this is our whole aspiration. Now everything makes perfect sense. I started to say about Mincha. Mincha talks about redemption, and I got sidetracked. How does it begin? Ata echad, v'shimcha echad. You are one. Your name is one. And mi kamach yisrael b'echad ba'aretz doesn't mean unique. It means it's a reference to a verse in Ezekiel, meaning the northern tribes and Judea will once again be